So what we're currently doing is Jacob is sanding down the doors for this order that I made this weekend. And now I'm gonna go bore those doors with the Blum hinges. So I need to grab these hinges right here. And then we're gonna go bore them into those doors, and we can send those doors out to the other facility to get finished in our oven. Jacob's sanding down the last door. We have all the doors double checked with their measurements via the door measuring sheet, which is right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get prepped up to use this Blum door hinging machine to bore in these Blum hinges. So let's get set up for this. We'll start boring and we'll send these doors out. We have our door order sheet right here. We look down here at the notes. I wrote all normal, meaning all of the hinges are 3.5 from the top to the bottom. What makes it super easy. So now Jacob's gonna start boring these. I'll start unscrewing these. We'll package these all up, load them up into the van, and send these doors out to the other warehouse. So what Jacob's doing here is he's just making sure the door's lined up all the way in the back. He clamped the foot of the machine to the door, and now he's gonna bore the door hole. That borehole is now drilled out. He's going to grab a hinge, put the hinge into the machine, and now that hinge is in there. He'll do that same thing to the other side of the door. We'll unscrew that hinge, we'll unscrew the other hinge, put them in baggies, and then this door can get sent out to go get finished. We do it this way, so that way we don't have to hammer these press-in hinges in at the job site. I don't like hammering, because sometimes you can, it's not very often, but you can crack a seam. Or I just don't like hammering things on clients' countertops. So this is a much more professional way to do it. This is a much better way to do it. Yeah, so this is just, that's why we do it here. These are the compact hinges that we use from Blum. Again, they're press-in. That's why the machine's pressing them in. They're compact, so they don't take up much of the rough opening in the cabinet. They're soft close. We put restrictors in if a door is up against a wall or trim or an appliance, so the door doesn't hit it. And they're super sturdy, super beefy. That's why we use these Blum hinges. I think Blum's the best brand for hinges. So again, that's why we use them for the hinges. That's why we use them for the slides. That's why we use them for most of our hardware. So Jacob's gonna keep boring. I'm gonna start unscrewing, packaging these hinges up. And then we'll saran wrap all these doors, load them in the van, send them out. Just got back from the other warehouse. I picked up these red oak face frames. That's how the stain and clear coat turned out. Got sent through the oven to get cured out. I think there's like around 20 of them. So we're gonna leave those in here. Probably get to those tomorrow, maybe this afternoon. But Jacob's been over here putting together the last couple cabinets. I do have to hand make, I think, 3 cabinets because they're odd, I would say is the best word. But just putting together this tall pantry. It's gonna have a wall oven in it, so put that together. There's one more to put together over there, and then we'll start hand making 3 of the cabinets. Jacob now has this big pantry put together. He's going to double check the math on the cabinet sheet. And then we have one more easy one to put together and 3 more to hand make. So let's get into it. So what I'm doing here for cabinet 8, number 9, and I believe number 13. Yes, number 13 is, 13 is a little bit different, but on 8 and 9, there's doors on both sides. So instead of programming that into the CNC and taking all that time, and then it doesn't cut right, and then we're just going to hand make it. It'll take a little bit more time, but I know we can just do it once and it'll be done. So figuring out the math for my side pieces, my bottoms, my tops, there isn't going to, number 8's a blind corner, part of it is. So there's going to be some of a back on the actual back side of the cabinet, just like there's some of the front on the front side where the face frames are. But number 9, there's really not going to be a back piece. It's just going to be face frame, side cabinet piece, top, bottom cabinet piece. So I have to make sure this cabinet's strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build it and see if it works. I can reinforce the top and the bottom if need be. We're going to glue and screw it like crazy and just kind of hope it turns out. I've hand built a lot of cabinets, but I haven't necessarily hand built cabinets exactly like this before, so it's going to be a little trial and error. We're just going to have to see how it turns out. So we glue, dado, screw everything, but these top pieces we don't like to screw because sometimes the screws like to poke up the plywood. So that's why we just, if they're all dadoed, we put a lot of glue, we put a lot of 1 1/4 brad nails, and it holds super well. These boards are really just to help square the cabinet up. They provide a little bit of support for the countertop, but really the sides are what are holding the countertop since it's transferred down into the floor. Those boards are mostly just there to square the cabinet up. So they're dadoed, they're glued, and they're brad nailed probably 20 times per board. And that's just what we do there, so that way nothing pokes up and throws the countertop off. I now have the math done for one of the cabinets. We're going to cut the pieces and just see how it turns out. I'm not sure how it'll turn out. I have extra pack out equated into my formula here, so should work out well. But before we do the other two, we're just going to do the smallest one, cut it out. This is going to be not the hardest one, but the most susceptible for something probably to go wrong. So if this works, the other two should work. All right, so we have this first cabinet completed. It's Kreg jigged a million times on the sides, the tops, the bottoms. It's all glued. It's not dadoed, but it's screwed, it's glued, and it's brad nailed with a million brad nails. Brad nails were really just to align it, but I went back through, added more, 1 1/4 inch screws. So it's really sturdy, 1 thick bottom and top, 1/2 inch sides. I just did that for rigidity. And then it still has our 1/8 inch offset, so we'll dado out the face frames 1/8 of an inch, and that'll really square it up and secure it even more. Now I need to do the math. Since this worked, I need to do the math for 2 more. The next 2 are going to be more complicated. They're going to have somewhat of backs because they're blind corners, so they're just more complicated. But this was the one that was the most susceptible to not working. So we'll do the math on those and then start putting those together. It's funny how many tools you need for just a little job. We have the chop saw and the table saw and the pin nailer, tape measure, spacers, brad nailer, impact, screws, multi-tool, brad nails, countersink bit. 1 million tools for a simple job. Jacob's been over on the saw stop cutting out these 1/4 inch birch skins that match the cabinets, and they're there to cover up the Kreg jigs on the bottom of the cabinet so you don't see any of that, and it looks super good. I have the math done for the other 2 cabinets we have to make by hand. This is the one we made by hand. That's completed. So the math is right there. We're going to start cutting out pieces for those 2 cabinets. They're going to be a little more difficult, but the one will be essentially the same thing as that, just taller. And the other one's a lower blind corner, and the face frame's going to be on the front and the side. It's going to be kind of weird, so I have to do a bunch of pack out and make a bunch of supports to make sure that that cabinet is sturdy. Once that's completed, we have to cut a few shelves for the handmade cabinets. The CNC cuts out the shelves for all the other cabinets, but since we handmade these cabinets, we have to cut those shelves out. When that's done, we can pull out the face frames from that white van and start dadoing those and putting those onto the cabinets. So yeah, I think that is the game plan. We're gonna build those other 2 cabinets and get into making them. Jacob got all of my pieces cut for those cabinets, but now I'm building a kitchen for a client. Just going through, double checking all of the measurements. It's kind of a pain, but it's coming together super good. We need to make sure this is perfect so that way when we start building these, we don't have to remake anything, obviously. So Carl went down there just to double check a few things. Jacob went to a job in Kellogg where we installed trim. Now the countertop company wants to trim off to install the backsplash because the backsplash is the same as the counter. So he's going to pull that off, reinstall that. I'm going to be here for a while, double checking all of these measurements. There's like a master bathroom, a main bathroom, a little laundry room, a kitchen, a living room. So there's a bunch of stuff. So I need to do this. We also need to finish those 2 cabinets being built by hand. One of them's like almost built, but I need to finish that. And yeah, just keep going for the day. So I finished this cabinet. There's going to be a face frame right here with a door. There's going to be a blind corner where this cabinet butts into it, and then another face frame right here with a drawer and a door. I went to measure it and double check it, and it is perfectly wrong. I looked at cabinet number 15's measurement, 47 1/4, which once you add up the scribes and the face frame dimensions and everything, it was going to turn out perfect. Really, it needs to be number 13. There's a drastic difference there. So that being said, I need to dismantle it, put it back together. I can save most of it. This floor is going to have to get taken apart. That might be the only piece I have to get rid of, but hopefully I take that off, cut it down the saw stop, hopefully put the pieces back together, cut a new floor, install a new floor, and then it'll be finished for now until we go to put on the face frames. We just got all the face frames over here from the other warehouse. Jacob went to go get the skin side panels and all of the trim, but here are all the face frames, red oak, custom stained, clear coated, sent through our oven, so they're all cured out. That's how they look. Turned out looking really good. Side panels are red oak, they match the stain. Same thing with the trim, it's all trim solid red oak, custom stained and everything. So we need to go fix that cabinet over there. Hopefully I can do the math right this time, put it together, and then start working on the next project. That's how these 2 cabinets turned out. We need to cut shelves for both of these, but essentially a face frame will go on each side of these with doors. But I'm glad we figured it all out. And yeah, let's go and fix that. We now have this cabinet completed. Jacob's cutting out the shelves for it. I think the next thing we're going to do is pull the trim out of the other van and wrap it all up. So we got those cabinets finished. Jacob's just finishing up the shelves. He's going to clear coat them. But the rest of the day, I'm just going to be taking down measurements, writing out notes, notes for trim, notes for cabinets, notes for doors, drawer boxes, everything like that. So yeah, it was a pretty good day. It was a slow moving day, but it was some stuff that was a pain in the butt with those cabinets we had to make by hand, and we had to pick up a bunch of face frames and trim and cabinet everything. Brandon was working at a house finishing that wall of trim, and Jacob's been around building. So yeah, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Adios.